I hope you're having a really fantastic Thursday. We're here at Safe to Choose with another live stream to talk about abortion and everything and anything you might want to know about abortion. Today we'll have a really great guest, organizations that we work with, which is Women on Web. And the three of us today will dismantle any myths about abortion, but also talk about digital censorship and suppression. Gail from How to Use This here. Hi, Gail. How are you?
Hi, I'm very well. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. We're just
Yeah.
waiting for our friends at Women on Web to join. But in the
Mhm.
meantime, Gail, maybe you want to tell everyone here what today's live stream is about.
Hi everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm just trying to fix it real quick. But yeah, so today we are just here to have a very friendly but also very important chat about digital censorship. I mean, if you are on if you follow either How to Use Abortion Pill or you follow Safe to Choose, there are times that we come up with these posts and we are saying, Meta is doing it again, we've been shadow banned, or our posts have been taken down. And I feel like V, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least once every 2 months or at least once a month, we get a post taken down or censored in some way or form, right? So
Yeah.
it's very predominant. Yeah, it's very predominant. Hi Sanjita.
Hi.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
How are
You're
you?
welcome. So
I'm
yeah, we
good.
just
How are you all?
We're good.
I'm
So that
very
means
well.
that all of us are here. So I think that we can begin our live stream. But just to remind everyone who's listening to us, today we're going to talk about abortion, but specifically digital censorship, how we face it, how we can fight it, what can we do in these times where big tech is kind of making it difficult to advocate for abortion access. So first, I think, Sangeeta, if you could introduce yourself and a bit of what Women on Web does, and then we'll go around.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Vianney. Thanks both of you for having me here, and thanks everybody who's joining us. So my name is Sangeeta. I'm from Malaysia. I work at Women on Web. So Women on Web is basically an online platform where we provide information about where and how to access abortion pills. Um, Yeah. So it's just an online space where people can get information and can get referred to like pharmacies or places where abortion pills can be obtained.
Great. Thank you so much for this introduction. It's helpful for everyone who's listening to understand, the value of the work that Women on Web does and why it's so important. So maybe Gail, could you quickly introduce how to use abortion pill?
Yeah. I think we all do the same thing here. Provide information. Provide safe, accurate, and reliable information on how to have an abortion when and if you decide to. So how to use abortion pill is also it is run by a group of people who believe that regardless of your location, you should have access to accurate information to have an abortion whenever you want to and for whatever reason you have. Even if you don't have a reason and you're just pregnant and you're like, oh, I need to get an abortion, go ahead and we are here for you. So we have a few features like Ali, a safe abortion chatbot that you can speak to 24/7. We also have the medical providers calls for medical providers who want to learn how to provide more person-centered abortion care. And very recently, also in relation to what we are talking about today, we've created a resource, a digital security resource that you can download. And if you are someone who lives in a restrictive country, you can just download this resource and it can help you on how to navigate the internet, how to navigate getting information that is supposed to be, I don't know, free for people, but is so restricted. So yeah, that's it. I yap a lot. Sorry for that. That's it for how to use. V, what about safe to choose?
It's fine. First, let me apologize if there's background noise, construction, working from home, all the great things about not working in an office. But at Safe to Choose, again, like all the other platforms, we're a digital e-health platform that provides information on abortion, both in-clinic abortion and abortion with pills, but we also have our really great abortion counselors, which is a free service that people can contact if they need support, if they need somebody to guide them digitally, somebody to talk to, somebody that can help them during their abortion journey. So that's one of the really great tools we have. And we also have a toolkit for abortion providers who want to learn more. And again, all of us are here on social media, and also we have our own website like safetochoose.org, and howtouseabortionpill.org, and Women on Web has their website that's also very wonderful. So if anybody in this live stream needs support or has any questions on abortion, please feel free to contact us afterwards or during the live stream. There's somebody there to help you. So since our live stream is precisely about digital censorship and digital security, I think one of the first things that we have to do is kind of discuss something that's important, and it's on privacy and having a respectful conversation. So everyone who is joining us, who is listening to this conversation, please feel free to ask any questions, leave any comments. We're here to exchange dialogues, and even if you don't necessarily agree with us on all the points, as long as it's respectful and it's with the intention of learning, we're really open to this. But we do want to make sure that everyone, both who's commenting and watching, and both the people who are participating today, feel respected and feel secure. Is there anything, Sangeeta, that you would like to share, just in concerns to having respectful conversations?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited to engage with everyone here. It's my first time as well, like doing an Insta live, so I'm very excited and nervous a bit. But I know this is a safe space. Like all of us are here to support each other and learn from each other. So let's go ahead. Yep.
Let's go. So we have our first question, and I'm going to ask you first, Sangeeta, and then I'll ask Gail, and then I'll share my thoughts. But for you, Sangeeta, why are SRHR organizations utilizing social media for abortion support?
Yeah, thank you so much, Vianney. So basically, throughout history, right, people have always supported each other. Like we've always find ways to support each other when systems are not working, when people are excluded in the way that systems are designed. So this is precisely why SRHR organization or abortion care organization like us utilize social media for abortion support, because this is where many people are, like especially like women and pregnant people, and also especially in countries where abortion is restricted and criminalized, or even when abortion is legalized, there's like many barriers to access. So it's sometimes faster and safer to go online to find this information, and most of the time you use your personal device, right? And you have control over that device. But I'm also like not negating the fact that there are many people who share devices. So having your own personal device is also a privilege. So these social media platforms becomes like a place where we ask questions, we find information, and we just have this sense of belonging, right? Like sometimes like when you are going through something, it gives a lot of like pleasure, or gives a lot of like um good feel good feeling when somebody else is going through that. Like if I can just give an example, like for an example, when I'm submitting my assignments for school like late, sometimes I always find for friends who are also late, so that I'm not alone. So it's very similar to abortion as well. Like for many people, like they go online to see who, if they can find somebody who have done this as well. So this is why like we work in these spaces, and it's not just like for care seekers, but also like providers like us, or people who are just generally supportive of abortion, right? Like it's really different from offline engagement. Like online, it just gives you access to like such a huge crowd of people, like people who you have not met in real life but are very supportive of the issue. So I think like in our work, we just realized that although the online spaces has a lot of risk, or it comes with surveillance, like people always like show up to support each other. So because that sort of solidarity can be really life changing, especially like for people who are in restricted and places where abortion access is really like not available. So this sort of like solidarity and this sense of belonging is really important.
I absolutely agree. I love this point where it's like we're building community. So, for example, I know a lot of people go to Reddit, right? And you're like, I have this issue.
Yes.
I want somebody's opinion. And that's one of like the, I do it too. And just for like anybody who hasn't gone to the internet for abortion information, you've gone to the internet for healthcare information in general. Like, I know if it's like, why is my ear hurting? Why does like why is my eye red? You know, why is my throat sore? And it's always like, you're going to cut your leg off or something. Like, you know, the answer is always
Yeah.
no. But you know, we go to the internet because we're so used to using it as kind of like our encyclopedia, as our source of information. And I think with the younger generations now, it's even a matter of, I'm going to go to TikTok and I'm going to search on TikTok like how can I have an abortion. And then there's also the matter of, you know, a lot of people don't know like places locally. So you'll
Yep.
go to Google Maps, you'll look at the reviews on Google Maps, you'll like look at the opinion of everyone else. So social media is just like one of these places where people can find this information and feel more secure. And honestly, I don't know about everyone else, but like if I'm going for information on whatever topic, I'll go to like the Instagram page and look at like how many followers they have and their website and like all the exchange of information. And I'm like, okay, you're the real deal. So that's how we look for this. You know, we kind of have to verify it in some sort of way. Gail, same question for you. Why do we use social media to look for abortion information or abortion support?
I feel like you both summed it up really well. But one thing, so Sangita, we have a journal club at WFD. So I remember one of the days, No made a statement that has really like stuck with me, and it applies to a lot of things that we need to meet people where they are. And so being on social media and providing like all this information is like one of the best ways, because I'm basically in Ghana and I'm helping provide information for people in Mexico, for people
Mhm.
in Guatemala, people I've never met, people I'll never meet, places I'll probably never go to like in my life, but I'm still making some impact. And these people are also able to reach out to people in other countries that they can't travel to. So it's an amazing way for us as advocates, for providers, to meet abortion seekers where they are without them being in uncomfortable situations, because in a lot of countries and places that abortion is restricted, it is heavily stigmatized. People do not actually want to go to the clinic. They don't want to seek the traditional care. And I feel like social media has also been a champion for SMA, because maybe before COVID and all that, I mean, SMA has been there since, because our ancestors were performing their own abortions and all that. But during social media, during COVID, with places being shut down, hospitals being shut down, people in their homes, social media was a very powerful tool to use to ensure that people are still getting the care they need, that people still have bodily autonomy. So I think it's an amazing tool to meet people exactly where they are, with
Mhm.
very little stress and amazing benefits from it.
Your
Agree.
point, yeah, I agree. And your point, Gil, actually reminds me of something. When Roe v. Wade was unfortunately overturned, everyone went to the internet and to social media to record videos. One, to show that they were, you know, very sad and very angry that it happened, but also to join as a community and share resources. Like Roe v. Wade is overturned, but you can go here, you can go here, you can go here. Here's how you can advocate. Here's how you can reach out to legislators. Here's how you can make change. So it's also a great tool for people to create change and create more open spaces to make sure that abortion is accessible. So our second question is kind of like the meat of the live stream today. And I want to ask you, Sangeeta, what is digital censorship?
It's part of our life.
Sadly.
um, Sadly, yes. Um,
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. So basically, this is when like a post is taken down, like on social media, like when we post something, it's taken down, or our account is like suspended or shown to like lesser people. So this is what digital censorship is, and mostly it's done by the platform and they usually say you are violating our community guidelines. So I always question which community, because the community that I know of is very supportive of abortion. So I don't know whose community guideline that we are violating. And also sometimes it's the government. Like we have these, like in Asia countries, where the governments would force the social media platforms to take down a certain content. So what happens is that your either the post get taken down or your account gets suspended. Um, and another part is like through user reporting as well. Like sometimes users who like disagree with your content or has like dissenting view, they could flag your post, and it can be taken down or your account can be suspended. So these are the many ways that digital censorship can happen. And if I can just quote an example, like we experienced this last year during our online anti-censorship campaign in South Korea. So unfortunately, our website, Women on Web's website, is blocked in South Korea. Although abortion has been decriminalized, our website has been blocked, and we were litigating for uh, unlawful blocking, and we were mentioning that this is a denial of like the right to receive and impart information. So during that campaign, we were actually working with a local artist, and we designed like a manhwa. I don't know if you're familiar with manhwa, but it's like a very cute cartoon comical thing, like very famous in
I
Korea,
love
right? So
manhwas. I am like the number one fan.
nice. I also really loved it. So this artist was like using manhwa to explain censorship and how to access our website, like using VPN and media site. And the moment like it was posted, like immediately Instagram flagged it as violating community guideline, and um, they informed us that this post will be shown to like fewer people. That was like really upsetting, because we really wanted to show this, we really wanted this content to reach people who their access has been restricted because the website has been blocked. But then the platform like put another layer of barrier for people to access information. So that was very like frustrating. But at the same time, we were very grateful with the online community. Like there were a lot of people from South Korea who actually helped us amplify the posts. Again, these are people who we never met in real life, but they are also equally angry that the government and the platform are censoring vital health information. So they helped us amplify, and the post really had like good reach. So again, like with all its risk and with all its barriers, like people will always find ways to like find each other online. So yeah.
At first, I'm so sorry that the website, was blocked in the country. That's so sad. And thinking about like Human Rights Declaration and the Beijing Declaration, and Platform for Actions, communication is also one of the important key points. And it's they specify that we need to be able to communicate freely without violence against women, without suppressing women, because, like you mentioned, no, it's the right to information. And I can say that Safe to Choose has a similar issue. We're blocked in Brazil. So our website,
Mm,
is blocked in Brazil, and it's very hard because they don't have that big of a legislation for abortion access. But it's like you mentioned, people will try to find information regardless of restrictions, and it's something that we always make sure to highlight. The countries that have the highest abortion restrictions often have higher unsafe abortions, because people will find a way around it. It's a need. They have to
yep.
have abortions, but the best way to make sure that they are safe is to ensure that they have information to safe abortions and access to safe abortions. In regards to digital censorship, I feel like one of the key things also is biases when constructing algorithms. So these big online platforms obviously have biases. I think the biggest
Mm,
example everyone can think of is X, which I will call Twitter because I refuse to call it X. But Twitter has a lot of issues in regards to suppressing things that aren't aligned to the CEO's point of view. So we're also finding a lot of algorithms that are filled with biases, especially in an age where unfortunately it seems like there's a lot of regression and a rise of conservatism. So it's just issues that we have to face. Gail, anything you would like to add on digital censorship? And maybe, we said at the beginning, we've lived this a lot. So maybe some examples from how to use.
Yeah, I mean, so many. Like I was saying in the beginning, I don't think we can go 2 or 3 months without a post being, either removed or something happening. And a lot of times I'm just inclined to think that we are forever shadow banned, like, because sometimes it's an amazing post. It's something that that your audience will like, and then you get 5 likes. I'm like, okay, and your reach should be about 100, and I go to check our followers. I'm like, okay, this math is not mathing because there's something wrong somewhere. So I feel like it happens so many times that I can't even count or anything, because
Mm.
social media platforms have just decided that there are certain topics that they are going to deprioritize. So I now it even feels like if you're an abortion provider, you're an abortion advocacy, a collective or whatever, and you make a post and it does well, it's like, yay, something to celebrate, because my God, we really are struggling out here. Anything that has to do with SRHR, anything that has to do with women in particular, is just deprioritized on a lot of the social media platforms. So yeah, how to use experiences the same things. But yeah, I don't think there's a specific country our website is blocking, but for social media, we encounter like all these things, content removal, shadow banning, and yeah.
I think, yeah, those are the things that we face. And sometimes maybe the audience doesn't realize it. Maybe, sometimes when you're like scrolling on, I don't know, TikTok, and you're like, wait, I haven't seen a post from this person in a while. And then you go
Mm.
to their page and you see that they have like 20 posts in the last 2 weeks. And you're like, why haven't I seen anything? That's kind of, what happens. But Gail, you actually gave me the perfect segue for the next question, which is, why do you think that sexual and reproductive health is often faced with digital censorship? So I'll go back to you, Gail. Why do you think it's specifically sexual and reproductive health?
I'm trying not to get like too feministy. I'm trying not to get too feministy, but I mean, of course, they're his women. So, and anything that has to do with women, that's why, like, you see a Viagra post and it's doing amazing, and then you see a contraceptive post and it's like, it's not really, because women are suppressed. Women, everything that has to do with women is suppressed, is deprioritized in a lot of areas, and unfortunately I feel like a lot of these techie places are also being led by men. And so
Mm.
they do not have the lived experiences that we as women do. So when they make decisions, they're making decisions that pleases, the higher ups, the people who have the money, the top 1% and all that. And again, unfortunately, not a lot of women up there. And like V, you also mentioned, now it feels like the whole world is just regressing. Um, People are becoming more and more conservative. So some of these things that is so normal, now they want to denormalize it. Now they want to make it seem as if abortion hasn't been in existence since man was in existence as well. It's become this new concept that is so bad, that is so terrible. And so the media feels like, yeah, this is not something that maybe the younger generation should see. It's not something that is morally right. So we definitely do not need to allow this. I think that's, yeah, for me, that's my major thing. Again, coming from a very feministy point of view. But yeah. Sangita, what about you?
I think like both of you just summarized it like perfectly. I think it's okay. First of all, it's okay to be feminist in this space. This is also our space. So I'm also gonna be feminist. So yeah, like biases. You mentioned about biases, right? Like, I think what's
Mm-hmm.
happening online is really an extension of like what's happening offline. Like, we've already seen like this sort of censorship, erasure, offline, and that same stuff happens online. And like you mentioned, like it's created by people, and they have their own biases. So it's really not a neutral place. Like internet is really not a neutral place. Apart from the feminist discussion that Gail brought in, I think I also want to bring in colonialism. Like, I think the world was not this way, organized this way from the beginning. Like prior to colonialism, like abortion was part of life. Like in many parts of Asia, like there's so much of ancestral knowledge, women healers who have supported each other. Like even myself, like when I was growing up, like in the 90s, in a small village in Malaysia, like I've seen like my mother and the community around her was supporting each other, like having an abortion. Like they would cook for each other, they will, care for their children, and they will like talk stories under the tree in the evening, just to like help you recover and all. Like it was just like part of life, like many other things that happen in your life. So it is really like colonization that has like try to police and also try to control women's body. And I think like all these systems of oppression, patriarchy and colonialism comes together to like what Gail mentioned, like controlling people's body, especially like women, queer people from global majority. We are like being the most marginalized and excluded, like in whatever systems that is, and especially like in digital world.
Thank you for sharing this point of the community care. I think that's so beautiful that women can come and people can come together if they need abortions, and then they're there and they cook their favorite foods and they sit under the tree and they tell stories. And I'm from Latin America, and I can say through my journey on learning about abortions, it was the same and it is the same here in Latin America. There's this community care focus, and as we know, the misoprostol was born out of the utilization from women from Brazil. These communities have found a way to do it. Then because of the effects of colonialism, it became such a drug, and then it became restricted, and then it's now being sold, and now it's a product instead of kind of a way to help women out. So that's also just one of the things that I feel like we need to mention. Having this historical analysis helps us understand why it's so restricted right now, but that it was not always like this. We can always go
Mm.
back to care and help amongst women. Focusing a bit more on actual abortions and abortion advocacy, I want to ask you, Sangeeta, what kind of censorship does abortion advocacy undergo?
Yeah, I think like as what I mentioned before, like those content removal, takedown, and sometimes like government can do this as well. Like they can censor certain platform that uses like government-led service providers. And what happens is that sometimes you see people or advocates use like different spellings to talk about abortion. Like instead of using O, we use like zero, or spell it in a funky way like abortion or sex, to like circumnavigate censorship. But again, like I think like we spoke about it in another space, like there's so many different ways of describing abortion, and there's like thousands and millions of languages which like these censorship tools are not picking up yet. And like we mentioned just now, like people are always resourceful. We always find a way. When something is restricted, there'll be even more demand for that. People will always find a way. But also, like what I want to highlight here is that it's really not on us to find these loopholes. Like these systems were really not built for us. Like platforms should be designed from the onset, like with us, together with us, with our lived experiences, and not like on us to like find all these different strategies um to resist and to circumnavigate censorship.
Yeah, of course, I agree. And the internet was originally created kind of an open space, an open resource.
Yes.
So it's free, you know. The reason the World Wide Web is free is because that's the intention of the internet. Unfortunately, it's become very privatized with a lot of organizations. But ideally, it is for us, by us, and we should have the power. And we do have the power to advocate for the information we want. Same question to you, Gail. What kind of restriction and censorship has abortion advocacy faced? I know that you're going to tell us the truth. You've lived this many times with how to use. So can you share some examples?
Yeah, so I think I already mentioned a couple actually in the previous questions, but yeah, we face content removal where you make a post about the pills and then your content will just be removed. And sometimes they give a very vague explanation for it about how it's you're promoting illegal substances or
Mm-hmm.
it's dangerous or you're selling illegal substances and we don't actually sell, we're just out here giving information, but of course the algorithm doesn't get that. We also sometimes struggle with ad restrictions, so when we make a post then we are trying to boost it, it's suddenly not boostable. So you've made this amazing post and you think, oh, you know what? People in Togo, people in Uganda, people in India might find this particular post very resourceful and useful. And so you try to boost it to them and Meta says no, because again, you're promoting illegal activities and illegal substances and all those. I feel like they never really go into details of what exactly it is. They just give this like vague explanation. And another way they censor our content is by shadow banning. I like I said before, I always feel like we are always shadow banned, to be honest, because sometimes the numbers we see on our posts, it cannot be real,
Mm.
honestly. And a lot of times our French page especially gets suspended a lot. So sometimes we don't even know what happened. Maybe we've not even made a post in like 3 or 4 days and suddenly our account is suspended and we have to go through this whole lengthy process of appeals. And I remember somewhere last year it took us almost 2 months to get our Spanish Facebook back online, which is it's crazy, honestly. So yeah, these are a few ways that they censor us in abortion advocacy. Sanjita, do you have anything to add
I think
or
like
add to
what
what?
you,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think what you raise is really relatable. Like we also realize that certain languages get censored more. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, our South Korea accounts, like I think it was censored a few times, suspended a few times, and we have to create like different accounts. Like it seems like it's so hard to like put up any contents on
Mm-hmm.
South Korea. But then you have like other content, like for example in Malay or Indonesia, like that doesn't get flagged, or the algorithm is not even picking it up. Like yeah. So
That's
I
true.
think it's also like very context and language specific.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'm
that's
just
true.
it just reminded me of something that makes me really mad. Is that our content gets suppressed and gets eliminated, and like Gail said, sometimes like there's no reason for it. It's just like it went against the community guidelines, but it doesn't say which
Mm-hmm.
ones. But one thing that happens to us often that I hate so much is that someone else will steal our content to spam, like to scam people. They'll steal our videos and post it on their pages, and it gets like thousands of views, and their content is
Right.
never taken down. It's never taken down unless we complain because we don't want people to get scammed. But they like their content is okay, and then we post something and it gets like removed like really like 2 seconds later. So that's also very very annoying, and it doesn't make sense unless they're specifically targeting certain pages because they know what the pages are talking about, which would conspiracy theory. But I don't think we're that far off. So I think we've discussed this a bit, but I feel like if there's any specific strategies, it'd be really good to share. But first, I want to let everyone that's listening know that if you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments. Or if you'd like to add any of your experience with digital suppression, leave them below in the comments because we want to read them and we want to see what everyone's going through. But Sangeeta, you've shared some, but if there's anything else that comes to your mind or you want to reiterate, what are some ways that you have been able to combat this digital censorship? What has Women on Web been doing to be able to fight this?
That's a great question. I've been thinking a lot about this as well. I think one thing, if I can share, is about building that in person or on the ground connection. Because with censorship, what we've seen is that everything can just like disappear overnight. Um, your content, your account, your website can just be censored and gone. So I think like really building relationship on the ground offline is really important, so that people, we know each other, right? Like we know what we do, what sort of work we do, who we are, so that it's easier to connect with people and like support each other. And I think you mentioned this, or Gail, you mentioned this in the beginning, right? Like we really need to meet people where they are. Like I think a lot of us in Asia, we have like a very unique relationship with like non-profit or international organization. And I think one thing that I've really unlearned after joining Women on Web is to like um see people as like equals. Like we are not there like as saviors, but as friends. Like you know um many people like do have the knowledge, they know how to navigate their context the best. So what me and my colleagues do is like really try to befriend people, and not just talk about work, just talk about like a lot of things, right? And I think like this sort of personal connection is really powerful. Like I remember like in this recent work trip that I did, we talked about a lot of things. Like I think like being online is great, like you are able to like connect with many people, but that in-person connection really establish the trust, so that when digital censorship happens, like you can reach out to each other to share knowledge and whatnot. Yeah, I think like in-person connection is one strategy that has helped us. For an example, if I can say, recently there was a group from Southeast Asia where their platform was suspended because of sharing how to access abortion pill in government clinic. Like that's so bizarre, right? Like you are just sharing information on about legal stuff and all, and their account got suspended. And then we just like came together to brainstorm what to do. And because there's already like trust and connection, so we started amplifying what was happening, and then within few days they got their account back. So sometimes like you go through this, but you go through this alone, you don't know what to do. So it really matters to know people and to have that connection.
I would agree with you. I think that has helped us a lot too. What we do is collaborate with a lot of organizations, but with a lot of journalists too, and with a lot of places that can write articles and share this as news, because it is news. The fact that abortion information and sexual and reproductive health information is being suppressed is news that concerns absolutely everyone. And a lot of people don't know that this is happening. Unless you work in these spaces, it's not that easy for you to tell that it's going to happen. So something that has helped us is doing collaborative posts, doing things like this live stream where we get a chance to just talk about it. And maybe somebody's listening to us right now and like they had no idea, and today
Mm.
they found out. And then always and like encouraging people to advocate, encourage people to share the resources. Sharing to stories, it might not seem a lot, but honestly sharing our content and your stories helps us so much, because it means more people are going to see it, more people are going to interact, and the less likely, hopefully, that will be shadow banned or suppressed. You, Gail, anything that you would like to share in regards to kind of how we can combat this digital censorship?
Yeah, I feel like for us, um, for both how to use and safety choose, I think this year especially we've had to be very creative and strategic with our content. So just basing on the past, some of the posts that were taken down, and then trying to sort of like restructure and reword some of the words. I feel like sometimes when you also know the keywords, that's usually like banned or something, you sort of try to find more creative ways, like using storytelling, more infographics, more images, more illustrations, as opposed to like a lot of words. Then it makes it just a little bit more difficult for the algorithm to like, be like, okay, you're using this word, so this and that. So I feel like, yeah, we've had to be very creative with our content, one. And I already mentioned earlier how to use our sticken is like a step further, and we've built a digital security resource for anyone at all, even if you're a provider in a restrictive country and you are looking to access abortion information. This resource is an amazing resource for you to use in order to ensure that you are skirting all these rules and, yeah, all these things that the tech people put in order to censor content. So yeah.
I feel like we should team up and write like a handbook. What to do when you're being suppressed. Just share it online and everyone
Right.
can download it. Yeah, we can talk about this later. um, I think we mentioned something before, and I want to ask you first, Gail. But we did mention this, and I want to know your opinion, Gail. How can users
Mm.
realize which topics are being censored, and how can they beat this algorithm suppression?
Hmm. I I think sometimes it's also a bit hard for them to know if they are not behind their accounts, if they are not the creators. Sometimes it's a little hard. But one thing I keep in mind is spelling of words. So even though it's wrong and I don't support as misspelling words, because I feel like it's in a way it contributes to the stigma of words like masturbation, like condom, like sex, like abortion, all those words. If we decide to use things like zero instead of O, that's us
Mm.
sort of like feeding into the delusions of people who are anti-choice and people, because then now we are not actually just promoting abortion, we are also helping to sort of silence the word
Mm.
and its meaning. But I feel like if you're a user, that's one of the ways you can know if a certain topic is being censored. So if a topic is being censored, obviously it's going to affect any account that talks about that topic. So if you're seeing a word being misspelled a lot, that's like that's one of the things, that the actual word is being censored. That's why creators and organizations and accounts are finding other creative ways to do that. And I think if you're a user and you want to support us, abortion advocacy and collectives and organization and all that, I'm letting you know right now, abortion is censored. Anything SRHR is censored. And I feel like you as a user, one of the things you can do is share our content, follow us, share our
Mm.
content. Whenever you come across our content, please interact with it. Please, please, please interact with it. Share it on your stories. Share it on your WhatsApp. Share it to your friends. Send it to their DMs and follow their accounts, because that's one of the ways in which we can skirt all these rules that Meta and all the other media has sort of like put on us, and we can't seem to get away from. Sangita, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think like you said it very well. I think another thing, if I can add, like sometimes we hear from our users as well, like they would email us and they said they couldn't find our website, or it's no longer showing in the first few pages. Google does these core updates and our ranking changes. So that's when we know like something has happened and we start our investigation. But like what Gail mentioned, we really rely on like users to spread the word about us. So like online platforms like Reddit are really like great community support, like where people always share information, where to get care and whatnot. So other than that, like in our campaigns, we usually tell people about how to use VPN to access censored website. So basically, VPN is like a apps that you use to access a website that are censored in your country. Other than that, there's also like safe browsers like Tor browser where you can use, and you can also access like censored websites. So we try to share this information as well. And like you say, like people will always find their way to us. Um, yeah. And like what Gail you mentioned, like yeah, it's true. Like when you start seeing like advocates and supporters using like differently spelled words, right? That's also one way of knowing that the topic is censored.
I
But
think
what do you
I
all
just
do? Like, do you all also use that that different spellings
I don't think
in your work?
we don't, right?
we haven't lately.
Mm,
We did it like a couple of years back because it did help
Yeah,
us.
but
And it's something
mhm.
that I realized that's kind of, I think it's interesting is that sex education is harder to talk about than abortion. Like it's so much more
Mm,
restricted to talk about sex and condoms and birth
yeah.
control and everything than it is abortion.
mm,
Lately, we haven't had to censor it. I think it's also like a nice movement, kind of a conscious effort to make sure that we're spelling it correctly. I think if we
Mhm.
annoy the algorithm enough, maybe it'll leave us alone. You haven't either, right,
Right.
Gil? How do you use haven't either?
Yeah, we don't. We don't either. We always use all the right words.
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And also
Mm-hmm.
we
Yep.
like language advances and it kind of like it adopts into different forms. So we're always changing to make sure that we're more inclusive and make sure
Mm-hmm.
that everyone is included in our content. So we make sure that for some people it might be hard to understand what abortion is if we're spelling it differently. So we need to make sure that it's
Mm,
easy for everyone to understand. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
yep.
I just wanted to add an interesting thing I learned when I was like researching this topic. It came to mind when you mentioned using VPNs and all that, because I know for some people they do recommend going incognito mode in order to protect your privacy. And I read from this techie website that incognito mode is actually only protecting your privacy from other users of your device. So
Mm,
if maybe you share a device with someone, that's the only person who is not going to be. But your internet service provider still has access to everything you're accessing with incognito mode. And I did not know that. And I'm thinking, yeah, people probably did not know that. So maybe I should say it on here for anyone who is watching, for anyone who will come across this later. It's not a foolproof way to protect your privacy using incognito mode. So just have that in mind.
And we're just all thinking
yep.
back about what we've used on incognito mode, like, oh, oh, I need to stop doing.
No,
When we were
right?
younger, right? That's the way
I
we protect ourselves.
So
I
Gail
did
has
the same
eliminated
thing.
us today.
After reading this, I was like, oh. So now I had to rethink what have I been accessing with incognito mode. I'm like, oh my god.
That's why digital literacy is so important. And the internet has adapted so much and we're not being taught how to use it. So that's something that also
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
needs to be taught. We've
Yeah.
been discussing, how abortion advocacy online is right now, what we're going through, what we're living. So for my next question, Sangeeta, what is the future for online abortion advocacy for you and women on web?
I think like it really depends on like where and who you're asking, right? Like because Women on Web is like a global platform. We work like in nearly 200 countries. So I think like in context where it's safer and it's like well resourced, like the advocacy really looks like strong. However, for like us or people who are in like restrictive contexts, where there's like repressive and suppression, and especially like those of us who live like with colonial legacies, right? We are just like constantly adapting, like what Gil mentioned. Like we are just like trying to get like creative, like with our ways, like because it's not just the platforms that we are facing censorship with, like it's also the government. There's more surveillance now. So yeah, it's just like us trying to take it day by day and being more creative, and also like really collaborating with one another. Like I think more of us are realizing that we don't live like single life issues, like everything is so connected and intersectional. So it's really important for us to like be together, and yeah, do advocacy and any sort of work like together, because sometimes many of the issues or barriers that we face are similar, although the area of work is different. So yeah, how about you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I like doing the live streams. I like people seeing that we're actual human beings. We're not robots behind the screen. That we really want to focus on people knowing that behind all the information and the research and the resources and the support, there are humans, humans with hearts, with brains, with
Mhm.
everything, experiences, that are here to help and to connect with everyone. And I hope that whoever reaches out to us can feel that connection and that support and kind of that love that maybe they're not getting in other areas or people in their life. They know that they can get it with us. I feel like that's something that's important. And then in regards to the future for online abortion advocacy, I feel like, you know, the elephant in the room is the use of AI. Nowadays, everything is AI. You know, people will use AI for everything. They'll ask it the most basic questions. They'll ask it for everything. So we also have to incorporate ways that we can ensure that our followers and abortion seekers know what information could have biases, because we know that AI can have
Mhm.
biases, and what information is verified, what information is acceptable. We don't hate technology. We have our chatbots that are here to help and can support you when a counselor isn't here or when a human isn't here. But we have to work together to make sure that AI gives accurate information and that people using it know that they can reach out to us and have that support. You, Gail, what is the future of abortion advocacy like for you and for how to use in general?
You've both said everything I was thinking, honestly. So I don't I don't have anything more to add.
Okay, I'll ask you the next question, Gail, because because we could go to
Okay.
the next one. Um, so, how can people support organizations and advocates that are being targeted by censorship? What would you suggest to them?
I think I sort of already mentioned this that
Like sharing,
what did you say?
like sharing information, sharing our stories, following us. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I think as a user, that's it. But I think as organizations like us, yeah, we need to collaborate more. We need to support each other. If someone is running a campaign, you can, share your
Mhm.
stories, and women on web is so good with that. I love it
I
because
love it.
I
Yeah.
sometimes I'll just randomly get a notification that they reposted our story. I'm like, oh, they see ads. It makes me so happy.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, as organizations support each other, if someone is running a campaign, and we also all need to come together, a lot more collaborations to come out, and for people to know that, at the end of the day, we are all out here to ensure that you have accurate information, and that's it. And
Hmm.
as a normal user, I already said follow these accounts. That's one way to support
Mhm.
us, and
Hmm.
share our content. Share our content very wide. However it's possible for you to share it, share it. If you see an image that's nice for you, you can save it. Anyway, we are also on Pinterest. Our posts are very like aesthetic
Mhm.
and all that. You can
Hmm.
create pins, you can add it to your pins, you can save it and share with your friends. That's
Hmm.
that's that's one of the best ways you can support us. For some organizations, they need your donations as well, because I mean, with the current climate, it's hard to get donors, and we also
Hmm.
need to keep doing what we are doing. So if you also come across an organization that needs donation, please don't just go. Even if you can afford $1, please make
Hmm.
sure that you are contributing whatever it is that you have. I mean, it's not mandatory, you're not forced to, but it would be nice to know that you're also helping us keep doing what we do.
Hmm. Hmm. And volunteering too. Volunteering is a great way to help out.
Mhm.
That's also a nice way to support the community. Sangeeta, anything that you'd like to add on how we can support organizations and advocates?
I think firstly I want to thank Gail for saying that. Like, we feel very seen in this era of censorship, like you mentioned us as well. So thank you for that. I think like this Insta Live is like a great way of connecting, right? Like I never knew like people inside this organization, and it's like really like from different parts of the world. Like I think it's a nice place for us to like get to know each other and really connect. Like I think that connection is what we need to have more, so that it's not just about work. Like it's just like about everything. Like we can just like have like lunch or I don't know, lunch is like maybe too late for me. We can have your breakfast
A
and my
little
late
snack.
supper. Yeah. So yeah, and I agree with whatever that you are saying, both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that we have these spaces, and I hope that everyone else, and like Gail mentioned, maybe even amongst just your family. Like I know that since I've begun working in SRHR, people have felt more comfortable coming to me talking about maybe they had an abortion experience, and like I was the first person that they
Mm,
told, or my mom or my grandma spoke about their experiences with SRHR. So it really is just creating networks of women and people who can be pregnant and support each other. We're almost coming to the end of the live stream. We just have two more questions left. So I will go ahead. As we've discussed, online platforms are privatized. They're owned by a lot of people, especially in the United States. And we do, as users, have little control over their community guidelines. So for you, Sangeeta, what should decision makers do to crack down on censorship?
so I always like raise my eyebrows when I hear the word crackdown, because that also means like more policing and control, right? And that's not the kind of solution that we need. So I think like yes, correct, like platforms are privatized, but then they also have like a huge influence on our life, like be it public or private. Like for an example, like we have like reports where um, like elections are political discourses, elections being influenced by the content that is like put on social media, right? Like um, social media also like influence who gets like life-saving information, for example abortion information, which information gets censored and whatnot, or which community get targeted for hate speech. So and this line of like private and public, it really get blurry on social media, although they are private platform. So what is really needed is like transparency and engagement of like people who really use it, like, and this must be like people from like different parts of the world. Like you say, it's mostly like designed in America, like with little to no regard of like the diverse communities globally. And we need to like be part of this conversation. Like and I just want to like also add that social media was never created as a space of like care or as a space of like support, like this community support that we are talking about, right? It was not created for that. It was actually created for like business needs, right? Like for ads and for people to keep scrolling. But it was us, like who people like us who turned it into like spaces of care, spaces of justice. Also in like in many parts of like Southeast Asia where there isn't like many civic spaces, like places for people to voice out. Like people went to like social media to like share their opinion, to open up. So we are the real users like of these social media platforms. So we need to be at the table, like we need to be there to design this community guideline, and we have every right to like question and change them. So, and I also understand like there are people who just get exhausted and burn out and just decide to leave the platform altogether, and that's a valid response. But for us at Women on Web, it's really hard to like leave platforms like this, especially like in places where sometimes social media is the only place where people can access care. So it's very important that we be there for people, and we continue to like demand better from social media platforms. How about you all?
And like to mention, we are the users. Without us, without our information, without our interaction, these platforms have nothing. So we do
Yes.
Yeah.
have a lot of power. Anything extra you want to add, Gil?
I just wanted to say, for me, I'm just tired of this whole like big tech, and what I'm really looking forward is just imagine a platform that is just dedicated to reproductive justice,
That'd be
a
beautiful.
feminist platform, a platform where like like we have our own. So I I don't know if it's okay to name drop, but there's this particular group. They have their own platform, except it's usually for advocates and providers. I feel like we are all in there. We probably are all in there, and
Mm.
I love that so much. So that's what I'm sort of envisioning for us, like crack down as we deciding that yeah, we are leaving you, and we are going to we are going to our own place.
We should do that. We should create just like the oh yeah,
Right.
we should just create our own like platform and just be like, come over here, come join us. Leave this
And then we just leave
mess.
them. I mean, we are the users, and they still do not take like the things we bring up into consideration for any of the things they do. So maybe if we decide that yeah, enough is enough, we are going
Yeah,
to invest in our own platform, and then yeah, we up
we
and leave just like
we have
that.
the power. We have the
Yeah.
power. So unfortunately, I think this is the end of our live stream because we've been yapping here for an hour. But I really love this conversation that we've had. I feel like almost encouraged. I don't feel sad. I feel like no, we can do this. We have this. So just to close out again, if anybody has any questions, leave them below. But in the meantime, Sangeeta, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. We love Women on Web. We love the work you're doing. We think you're an inspiration, just an
Yes.
amazing organization. We share your resources too as much as possible because you're doing amazing work, and you're so creative as an organization, as a person. It's so beautiful. So please take the space to share any additional resources or information, social media, any projects, any ways we can support your website, anything that you want to share. Please do so. Hi, can you hear us, Sangeeta?
Oh, okay. It's me.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking to the users. Thank you so much for saying that. Like, I think like we also learn a lot from your platforms and your materials, especially I think in my previous work, I used to like refer to your instructions and all. And I really love this community, like what we do to support each other and also like to really uplift each other, right? Like, I like these compliments. It feels like we are so seen and we are heard and we are so loved. So thank you so much. Yeah, and thank you so much for having me here. Like, I hope that we could do this more often, like just talking about random things and just connecting. And yeah, have a good day, both of you.
Yeah, like I mentioned, if Gail and I did not leave you with a feeling that we're besties after this live stream, we failed. We failed. And
Right.
just
Okay,
like,
we are creating a WhatsApp signal group.
yeah.
Yes.
Just a random thought. Is your
Yes.
shirt is your shirt hot pink? Isn't that like the Women on Web color? Like you're matching your organization color. I was just thinking about it, like, oh my god, that's beautiful.
I got this because it matches the wow's color,
Yeah,
and
that's
I thought like
beautiful. Your mind,
for my
you should have done this
debut, I
well
need to
within our
wear
video.
this.
You killed it. You nailed
Yeah,
it.
everything perfect.
Thank you,
You're
both of
giving us
you.
clothes, you're giving us space, you're giving us brain, you're giving us everything that we needed for this conversation.
Mhm.
Gail, please help us close out with the information for how to use a social media website and your resources.
Hi guys. Yes. So as always, it's how to use abortionpill.org for our website. And now Ali is actually on our website. If you don't know Ali, Ali is our safe abortion chatbot, and Ali can speak to you in 6 different languages. And Ali is available to answer all your questions on how to use the abortion pills, what to expect after you take the pills, signs of very rare complications, basically anything, and even help you with resources in your country. So text Ali, speak to Ali on our website for a more private and confidential conversation on your abortion journey. Like I also mentioned before, if you are interested in knowing how you can protect your privacy as you move online, because let's be honest, being online these days is like, I don't know, you're one step away from the police stopping you and harassing you over something. So if you want to know how to protect your privacy, you can head over to our website again. The link is in our bio. You can head over to our website and then access our digital security resource. Is a very short PDF you download, very instructional. It's not a long read. You can just go through it and then do everything that you need to do to protect your conversations on WhatsApp, on Instagram, on Facebook, and when you're browsing the internet in general. So yeah, back to Safe to Choose.
Thank you, how to use. So we are Safe to Choose. We are a digital e-health platform that provides information on safe abortions, in clinic abortion, abortion with pills. We have our protocols on our website, but we also have a great video series of testimonials. So if you ever feel lonely and you don't know if you're going through just something by yourself, we have our videos that showcase people from all around the world and their experiences with abortion. And like we mentioned, we have our abortion counselors, completely free, available from Monday to Friday, but we also have our chatbot in case it's the weekend. And if you need help during your abortion journey, we got you. Without judgment, without stigma, with just compassion, love, understanding. That is what we aim for, and that is what we want you to know, that having an abortion is okay, having an abortion is normal, and that we're here for anything that you may need. So follow us at Safe to Choose at all of our social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Vimeo. And yes, just thank you so much, Gail, Sangeeta, for taking this time, for having a conversation. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. And for those that are listening, go follow us. We have really great content, so please take that time to go and check it out. So thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.